Tough fixture against Spurs. I'm glad West Ham have found some kind of level of performance before we go into this fixture because it is very tough and West Ham for me have in terms of performance level have been very poor and people will look at it and I guess in context against Manchester City again expected to lose to an extent. Nottingham Forest had a lot of chances, but again didn't convert them. And Brighton, historically, West Ham, and in particular David Moyes struggles tactically. Whilst all of those I could accept losing in, and I know that sounds crazy, and even with regard to the goal stat, the biggest problem for me is the level of performance, the lack of balance at points within the midfield. David Moyes looking to be more of a possession-based team. And it's interesting how West Ham changed in that second half against Aston Villa, not only to get the result and ultimately the win, but actually the system and how comfortable some of the players look within it. Declan Rice in particular, alongside Souček being in a more conservative role, which actually allowed Declan to be more progressive with the ball. And again, it suited his attributes in reading and intercepting the ball at times from Aston Villa. So actually it encouraged some of our players and it actually gave a license and a freedom on the counter-attack that the West Ham really haven't demonstrated this season. And if you're asking me what are the characteristics of this team or have been over the last 2 years, it has been the counter-attack. To see some form of return to that style of play was encouraging. Now, I think in terms of the transfer window, a lot has been made, of course, with the money that West Ham has spent. Completely uncharacteristic. It was very much needed in terms of the personnel. I've been really impressed actually with some of the players that West Ham have bought in. They're progressive signings. They're signings that I think complement what we've already had, but equally add something different. I think Paqueta is a huge statement. And again, a player that I'm excited about seeing. He could possibly play in that 8 role alongside Declan Rice. And in terms of West Ham, and this is the one thing West Ham don't have, is the ability to control games with the ball. It could give us that opportunity, but equally he has that versatility to play in the 10. And I think not only that we've brought in players, again, has been injured, but he's more progressive as a left-sided centre-back. Kerrer is definitely an improvement on Diop. Emerson gives us a natural left wing-back option and competition for Creswell. So all of those areas have been addressed, and even more so that centre-forward position with Gianluca Scamacca, who, again, I really think complements what West Ham have in terms of that movement of the front four and how important that is, his hold-up play, how intelligent he is on the ball. But what's impressed me more so, even in the little spells I've seen him in Europe, is his movement within the box and his quality of finishing to find that yard of space has been really encouraging. So I think West Ham have had a really good window. It might not be over yet. If West Ham could get 1 or 2 through the door, and again, it sounds greedy at this point, but it will give us a really competitive squad going into the season that, of course, I'm sure as Tottenham will know, being in Europe, the number of fixtures that we'll have between now and the World Cup is very intense. And in order for West Ham to compete in the league and in cup competitions, we absolutely have to have those bodies through the door. I think Tottenham's season I would say, has been relatively successful so far as being 4 fixtures into the league is. For me, Tottenham haven't necessarily blown teams away. To be honest, I don't really feel that it matters at this point. I think there's a level of consistency, there's an understanding within the squad about what Antonio Conte wants from the players. I think, unfortunately, from a West Ham point of view, there's actually an opportunity for Spurs to even improve to a degree. I think once Basuma becomes integrated within this Tottenham team, particularly in that midfield too, you're looking at a press-resistant midfielder, again, that can protect the back three, that can allow the player next to him, maybe more of a number 8, to be more progressive and get on the ball and break down low-block teams that I think Tottenham struggled against last season. But equally, I think Tottenham have started well. Harry Kane's really impressed me. He always does. It pains me to say, but I think Conte's really got that balance of Kane being that number 10 and being able to link up play, but equally allowing him the freedom to get within the box, to be within the final third. And of course, as we know, and you'll know more well than I will, he's a clinical finisher and he'll take his chances. And we saw that against Nottingham Forest. One player I just wanted to bring up quickly was Richarlison. Now, Tottenham for a number of years have had Heung-min Son and Harry Kane and have essentially been reliant upon the partnership between those two. And listen, at times it has been world-class and they do have world-class ability, but the opportunity to go and add a Kulusevski and a Richarlison as rotation options, and both just in terms of profiles of player, both progressive with the ball, both can beat a man, both are direct, but equally in terms of creativity and creating chances for others in and around the box. Richarlison, he can play as a 9. Of course, he can play off that left-hand side, and Kulusevski off the right-hand side really offer Tottenham balance. They make it very, very difficult for teams to deal with defensively. And of course, once you start to introduce those wing-backs, the likes of Perisic, and possibly maybe we'll see Jed Spence towards the second half of this season, I think it's really, really tough for teams to defend against that overload. Now, this is a really interesting question regarding will Conte be successful at Tottenham this season and what constitutes success. I think Conte brings a huge level of expectation. For me, he's He's probably the third best manager in the world. I think his record speaks for himself. I think the improvement of Tottenham since he's come in, and obviously Nuno went out, has been outstanding. And people say, albeit, Tottenham haven't won a trophy. I think that's where Spurs need to be at this season. They need to be competitive right to the very end of cup competitions. I think there could be an allowance for Tottenham to not necessarily win those finals. And of course, it would depend against the quality of the team of a Man City or a Liverpool, or possibly of Chelsea, if they can get that consistency going. But I think Tottenham really need, the barometer will be Tottenham's ability to win a trophy. If Tottenham win an FA Cup and finish top four, that's a very successful season. And I think it gives them a platform in which they can build on, and it's something that I'm sure Conte will be looking at and probably demanding of Spurs. They've recruited well. It's a very good squad. The front four are exceptional, and I think that's where Tottenham should be heading towards. In terms of the players that you should look out from our side on Wednesday, I think Scamacca could be really, really interesting. Again, I say this, I'm not convinced that he will start. If he does start, or even if he comes on in the last 20 minutes, I think the positions that he can pick up, the ability to link play, I think we'll start to introduce Jarrod Bowen, Said Benrahma in those wide areas, Pablo Fornals possibly in the 10 role. I think that could really hurt Tottenham if we're able to get a 4v3 with your back three. Of course, there are numerous permutations that West Ham would have to work to in order to get to that stage, but that's a dangerous player in itself. I think Declan Rice as well massively improved in that second half against Aston Villa. And if we're looking at a more conventional role from his point of view, I think, again, like I always say, his ability to read the game defensively, absolutely superb. And ultimately, positionally, to deal with Harry Kane dropping into that 10 role will be absolutely crucial. And it's a battle that I think West Ham have to win, and it will be incredibly difficult. The other one's Said Benrahma. Now, I mentioned Said on the left. Said Benrahma for the past 3-4 games has been outstanding for West Ham. He's a player that's very divisive amongst West Ham fans. There is and has been concerns over his consistency in the final third, and I'm talking deliveries and, again, coming on late in games and being able to affect things. I think his improvement as a player has very much come from his movement off the ball, his ability to drive with the ball, the positions that he picks up, actually at points just his decision making. And we saw he obviously score a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season, but in fact, I think in the past couple of games, his movement off, whether it's Mikel Antonio or Scamacca, could be crucial. And I think his ability to beat a man 1v1 is very important for West Ham. I think last season, particularly towards the tail end, you saw how West Ham were massively reliant on Antonio and Jarrod Bowen coming central in order to try and create and have that movement off a centre forward and have that space in beyond. Benrahma gives us a different dynamic to that. Of course, if you had both Jarrod Bowen and Said Benrahma being able to do that from the wide areas, then I think it could cause Tottenham issues. But of course, naturally, there's going to be a huge expectation on them defensively when Tottenham are in our third, but equally in terms of their ability to carry the ball. And I think the fact that Said Benrahma's added that to his game, and I think that Jarrod Bowen's had that, and listen, he has been in poor form this season, but if he can retain that going into this fixture, then I think West Ham have a chance, and those are the dangerous areas for me. In terms of our lineup, I think it'll be Fabianski in goal. I think it'll be 4-2-3-1. I think Soufal starts at right back. It'll be Kehrer left-sided centre-back, Zouma right-sided centre-back. I think we'll go Creswell, Souček, Declan Rice. People will scream Paqueta, but I can't see Moyes throwing him in just yet. I think we go Fornals on the left, Benrahma even in the 10, and Jarrod Bowen on the right, and Mikel Antonio up front. And I can really, really see that. I can't envisage a world where West Ham rotate too much from that Aston Villa game, and I think Benrahma will probably retain his place as a 10, given Fornals can offer that protection on that left-hand side from your wing-back and that possible overload. So I think those are important things for West Ham to look out for. Score prediction, I can't do it. I'm going to go 1-0. I think West Ham, if West Ham can showcase what we showcased against Villa, albeit a much poorer side than Spurs, then I think we can make it tough and difficult. And I think that's what we absolutely have to do. But it will be really, really difficult. And I am concerned defensively, there'll be a lot of pressure on West Ham off the ball from some of even our attacking midfielders to work hard in protecting our fullback. So if we can do that, we can nick it, perhaps from a set piece, perhaps from a counter. I still think we have that danger. And we also this season, I think the big difference is we've got that depth to bring on players and hopefully change the game and change the look. But like I say, I think Tottenham are a really difficult side and opposition, even at this stage. Where do I think West Ham and Spurs will finish? I think West Ham will finish, and it's difficult because we've bought a lot of players, quality players, but the form hasn't been quite there, and it hasn't really paralleled it. I think we finish. I said 7th before the start of the season. I still retain that list. I'm under no illusion. It's very, very difficult. It's tough. I think teams like Brighton, Newcastle are all pushing those places. I think Manchester United are showing slight signs of improvement, and then yourselves, Arsenal, Chelsea, that in terms of squads and level of performances are very, very difficult to catch. But if West Ham can hark back to how we played last season and add the quality in those areas that we've identified, then I'm hoping we can finish in those areas and go very, very far, if not try and win that Conference League, because ultimately that's the ambition and that's where we've got to be, and that's why some of these players have come to the club. I wish you luck. I genuinely don't. You're an interesting team. I think it'll be an interesting game, and I think we will probably be a little bit tighter than perhaps it would have been in the past few games or so. And if West Ham play like I say, we played against Villa second half, then we can make it a competitive fixture. And I think for me that's all I want going into a game against Spurs. Take care, and listen, we'll find out, won't we, on Wednesday.